Hey everyone, welcome back to my Mind Mashups for another deep dive. And get this, a brand new player in AI is already shaking things up, giving giants like OpenAI a run for their money. They're doing it for a fraction of the cost.
Fascinating, right? We're talking DeepSeek, a Chinese AI company founded just last year in 2023 by this former hedge fund entrepreneur, Liang Wenfeng.
Okay, so DeepSeek,
hmm
right? They specialize in developing open source large language models. The brains behind AI tools we use every day. But here's the real head scratcher. They're doing it for a fraction of the cost. We're talking under $6 million compared to what some of these big US companies are spending, potentially $250 billion. It's like a real David and Goliath situation.
It is, and their success has sent shockwaves through the tech world. NVIDIA, the leading manufacturer of GPUs, the things that make AI work, saw their stock drop almost 17% after DeepSeek's breakthrough.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
Just for our listeners who maybe aren't as familiar with GPUs, these are essentially the powerful processors that make all this complex AI work possible. No GPUs, no AI magic.
Exactly. And DeepSeek's ability to do so much with so much less investment has people wondering if the old way of doing AI is all wrong. Some are even comparing it to Sputnik, that pivotal event in the US-Soviet space race.
I see the comparison. So is DeepSeek a brilliant innovator making AI more democratic? Or are they cutting corners and maybe even stealing intellectual property?
That's the million-dollar question. OpenAI, the people behind ChatGPT are accusing DeepSeek of using a technique called distillation to basically copy their models.
Distillation? How does that even work?
Imagine trying to recreate a famous chef's recipe without the cookbook. You could keep tasting their dish over and over, analyze the ingredients, and eventually come up with something very similar. Distillation in AI is kind of like that. You train a model on the outputs of another model without actually having access to its code.
So OpenAI is saying DeepSeek essentially snuck a taste of their AI recipe.
Yeah, pretty much. And they have Microsoft, a major investor in OpenAI, backing them up. Microsoft claims they have evidence suggesting DeepSeek may have accessed OpenAI's API without permission. Think of it like sneaking into the chef's kitchen.
So we have accusations flying, but DeepSeek hasn't responded publicly yet.
Yeah.
What are the legal and ethical implications of all this? Accessing OpenAI's API without permission would be a big no-no, right?
Absolutely. It raises all sorts of questions about intellectual property rights in AI, especially with these open source models. Traditionally, copying code is a clear violation, but when you're training a model on the output of another model, the lines get a bit blurry.
A legal gray area.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, how OpenAI is crying foul over IP theft. But they've been criticized for their own data collection practices.
Truly, OpenAI is facing lawsuits claiming they use copyrighted material like books and news articles to train their models without consent.
So does that weaken OpenAI's position in all of this?
That's a good question for sure. It definitely adds another layer of complexity to this whole story. We've got this David versus Goliath battle, accusations of theft, legal and ethical questions, and at the center of it all is Liang Wenfeng, the mastermind behind DeepSeek.
Tell me more about this Liang Wenfeng. His background seems pretty interesting.
It is. He started as an electronics student, then somehow became a hedge fund whiz, and now he's leading the charge in AI. One smart move he made, though, was stocking up on 10,000 NVIDIA A100 GPUs, those powerful processors we were talking about before. The U.S. slapped export restrictions on AI chips to China.
He was thinking ahead. So what's his vision for DeepSeek? What's the end game here?
Liang is a big believer in open source AI. He thinks it should be accessible to everyone, not just a few powerful companies. He sees DeepSeek as a way to democratize AI, make it available to researchers, startups, developers all over the world.
That's a pretty bold vision. But is it genuine altruism or a clever marketing tactic to disrupt the market and get ahead?
That's a tough one. Some see him as a visionary leader who wants to break down barriers. Others are more cynical and see his actions as a calculated strategy to shake things up and maybe cash in. Only time will tell what his true motivations are.
Well, one thing's for sure, DeepSeek has definitely shaken things up. The entire tech world is taking notice.
Definitely. This is only the beginning. It's going to be an interesting story to follow. The rise of DeepSeek, the debate over open source versus proprietary AI, the legal and ethical questions swirling around their methods, it's all shaping the future of this incredibly powerful technology.
This is exactly why we do these deep dives, to uncover these stories and explore their impact on our world. And the DeepSeek story is a perfect example of how quickly things can change and how important it is to stay informed.
Couldn't agree more. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about understanding the big picture and what it means for all of us.
So much to unpack here. We've only just scratched the surface. We're going to take a quick pause here, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to dive deeper into what DeepSeek's AI can actually do and what it all means for you.
Welcome back to my Mind Mashups. Before the break, we were talking about all the controversy with DeepSeek. And I know you're probably wondering what their AI can actually do.
Right. We've talked about cost savings and IP issues. But what about the actual product? Can DeepSeek's AI really go toe-to-toe with the big names out there?
Well, they've released a bunch of different models, but the one that's really making headlines is their image generator, Janus Pro 7B DeepSeek, claims it can compete with OpenAI's DALL-E 3, which is considered the gold standard for AI image generation.
Okay, for those who haven't tried these AI image generators, it's pretty wild. You basically type in what you want, like a cat riding a unicorn on the moon,
Mm.
and the AI creates an image from your words. But does this Janus Pro thing really live up to the hype?
The early reviews are interesting. Some users are saying it's incredible. They're impressed by the speed and the quality of the images it creates. Some even say it's as good or even better than DALL-E 3. In fact, some users claim that Janus Pro is even better than task-specific models in some areas.
Wow, that's impressive. But I'm guessing it's not all perfect. What are some of the downsides or limitations people are pointing out?
Yeah, some users have mentioned that the output can be a bit inconsistent. Sometimes it generates these amazing photorealistic pictures, and other times the results are a bit strange or kind of creepy. But it's important to remember DeepSeek is still a new company, and they're constantly updating their models, so it's definitely a work in progress.
It's like watching a race between all these AI companies constantly pushing the limits. It's pretty exciting. But it also raises a lot of questions for me. Like, with all this talk about disrupting the market and cutting costs, what's DeepSeek's ultimate goal here?
Liang Wenfeng has been very clear about his vision. He believes AI should be available to everyone, not just big tech companies with tons of money. That's why they're focusing on open source models. Anyone can use them or modify them.
Okay, that explains the open source part. But disrupting the market facing potential legal battles, those seem like pretty extreme ways to democratize AI.
I think it's fair to say there's a disruptive element to what they're doing. They're challenging the way things have always been done and making everyone rethink how AI is developed and shared. Now, whether or not they're doing it ethically well, that's definitely a topic for debate.
And that debate has some pretty big implications for the future of AI, right? Like,
Yeah.
what happens if DeepSeek's model really takes off? If open source AI becomes the norm, does it actually democratize access, or do we end up with a Wild West situation with no rules or oversight?
That's the billion-dollar question. And honestly, I don't think anyone has the answer yet. It's kind of a giant experiment that we're all watching unfold.
Hmm.
What's clear is that DeepSeek is making us confront some very real and very complex issues about the ethics and the legal gray areas of AI development.
And as AI keeps evolving at this crazy speed, it's more important than ever to stay informed and engaged with these conversations. Speaking of speed, did you know that the first AI program was written way back in 1951?
Oh, yeah. The Turing test, named after Alan Turing, the mathematician.
Right? And now, just over 70 years later, we have AI that can create realistic images, write poetry, even compose music. It's mind-blowing how fast this technology is advancing.
It really is. And this is just the beginning. AI is going to become even more integrated into our lives. Think self-driving cars, personalized medicine, AI assistants that manage our schedules and predict our needs. It's all happening thanks to these breakthroughs in AI.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities, but let's not forget about the ethical side of things. If it's so cheap and easy to develop powerful AI, what's stopping it from being used for bad stuff?
That's a really important point. We've already seen examples of AI being used to spread misinformation, create deepfakes, even develop autonomous weapons. It's absolutely critical that we establish ethical guidelines and regulations for how AI is developed and used.
It's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
But there must be some positives too, right?
Oh, absolutely. AI has the potential to change so many industries for the better healthcare, education, transportation, manufacturing. It can help us solve really complex problems, automate tasks, even create new forms of art and entertainment.
So it's not all doom and gloom. It's about finding the right balance, making sure that AI is used responsibly and ethically.
Exactly. We need to be aware of the risks, but also be open to the possibilities. DeepSeek is making us face these issues head on, whether we're ready or not, and it's a conversation we need to keep having.
Absolutely. And that's why we encourage you, our listeners, to stay informed. Keep asking questions and be a part of this important dialogue about the future of AI.
The future of AI isn't set in stone. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make. So let's make sure we're shaping it in a way that benefits everyone.
Well said. That's a great point to remember. We're going to take a quick pause here to gather our thoughts. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for the final part of our DeepSeek Deep Dive. And we're back for the final part of our DeepSeek Deep Dive. We covered a lot of ground accusations of IP theft, Wenfeng's vision for AI.
Yeah, we talked about DeepSeek challenging the status quo, pushing those boundaries of what's possible, with AI forcing us to really confront those tough questions about ethics, innovation, and the balance of power in tech.
So where do we go from here? What does DeepSeek tell us about the bigger picture of AI?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that AI is no longer something you just find in research labs or at these big tech companies. It's becoming part of our daily lives, and the implications of that are huge.
Absolutely. We're talking about tech that can create realistic images, write convincing text, maybe even make decisions that impact our lives in huge ways.
Exactly. And as AI becomes more powerful and easier to get, we need to be ready for the good and the bad that comes with it.
DeepSeek really changed things by developing these models for so much cheaper than their Western counterparts.
Yeah.
It's clear this tech isn't just for a select few anymore.
And that changes everything, right? It
Yeah.
makes you wonder who will control AI, how will they use it, and who will benefit from it.
It's incredible and honestly a bit scary to think about how fast things are changing.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago that the idea of AI creating art or writing music seemed like something out of science fiction, but now it's real.
It really is. And it's only going to get more common. Think about self-driving cars, personalized medicine, AI assistants that can manage our schedules and predict our needs. This is all on the horizon because of these breakthroughs in AI.
The possibilities are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But we can't forget about the ethical side. If it's so cheap and easy to develop powerful AI, what's stopping it from being used for the wrong reasons?
That's a huge concern. We've already seen it happen. AI being used to spread lies, create fake videos, even develop weapon systems. We have to establish clear ethical guidelines and regulations for AI development and use.
It sounds overwhelming,
Yeah.
but I have to believe there's a good side to all of this too.
Of course, AI could completely transform industries,
Right.
healthcare, education, transportation, manufacturing. It could help us solve complex problems, automate tasks, even create new forms of art and entertainment.
So it's not all bad. It's about finding that balance, making sure AI is developed and used in a responsible and ethical way.
Exactly. We need to be aware of the risks, but also open to the possibilities. DeepSeek forced us to confront these issues head on, ready or not. And it's a conversation that we need to keep having.
Absolutely. And that's why we want you, our listeners, to stay informed, ask questions, and be a part of this crucial conversation about the future of AI.
Yeah, the future of AI isn't set. It's being shaped right now by the decisions we make. So let's work to shape it in a way that benefits all of us.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
That's a great takeaway for our listeners today. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of DeepSeek and what it means for the future of AI. Remember, knowledge is power, and staying informed is more important than ever in this rapidly changing world.
Absolutely. And if you want to keep your mind buzzing with new ideas and fascinating discussions, don't forget to like and subscribe to My Mind Mashups. We release new episodes every week exploring everything from cutting-edge science to pop culture.
That's right. You can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep those minds mashing.